right now, okay, if you're listening to the archive, you will get the follow-up email, right? You'll get the follow-up email with the replay and with the replay link and the and the call that I promised you. Now, of those of you who are here, how many of you all are do not have access to Facebook? How many of you all do not Facebook at all? Anybody here? Anybody here that does not do Facebook? Okay, Rick, you do not. Okay, good. Okay, so when I send out the replay link, okay, Facebook is a virus magnet, I hear. I'm going to be sending out the replay in a Facebook webinar as well as a download. So you will be able to get the replay through a link I'm going to be sending out. It should come out in about 24 hours after we end the call, and it's going to come in a link where you can watch the replay on Facebook, and you can also, but I also give you the download also, right? So you'll be able to do either one. All right, very good. So, all right, let's start with, I'm going to start with the boring part first. And like I said, if you will allow me to bore you for a little bit, then you'll actually get a chance to see something that I think will benefit you. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to show my screen here. All right, let's make sure I can get the right screen for you to see. Okay, you should be able to see generating business leads online. You'll see a little hesitation there by go to webinar. I'm sorry about that. Looks like that's a memory issue, so we'll just kind of continue on here. And those of you who are generating your own leads on the internet, you probably got a couple of different prospecting methods. Now, I know all of you all, to some degree, you're generalists, and some of you all are into reputation management. Some of you all are into mobile. Some of you all are still, is there anybody here that's still doing SEO? Anybody still doing SEO for clients? Okay, some of you. Okay, good, very good. Even you're brave to be doing SEO for clients. Okay, so so for prospecting methods, okay, how many of you all here primarily prospect through email? Okay, anybody prospecting through email primarily? Okay, some of you. Okay, yes, sir, Matthew, I will be doing this. I will be recording this for a replay. Okay, some of you all word of mouth. Okay, good. So some of you all do email. Does anybody send out videos with the email? Anybody doing that method? Okay, getting the email and then sending out the video. Okay, good. You do, Ralph. And some of you all links to videos. Okay, good. And some of you actually use put in the email. How many of you all are putting in there a link to a pre-made mobile site? Okay, I know that's another prospecting method by email. Some of you all who are into mobile, you're doing that. Okay, okay, good. Some of you all still doing that. Okay, how many of you all are using dialer software, okay, to call out to folks, right? So you get a bunch of numbers of business owners and you are calling out. You got automated software. Okay, Ralph, you do not do that anymore. Okay, so some of you all are still using, okay, some folks are still using dialer software. Okay, prospecting that way. All right, good. Okay, no good or bad methods, just what works for you. Okay, and then some are, how many of you all are using direct mail? I know probably not a whole lot of folks, so you need a good list of business owners, a pretty clean list, and then you do a direct mail merge. Okay, Rick, you're doing direct mail. Okay, good. And sending out postcards. Okay, is that cost effective? Okay, good question, Kevin. It can be if you know what you're doing. Okay, Rick says capital N, capital O. Okay, so some folks, Rick says no. Okay, and then some of you who uses my favorite method, which is the interview/directory method. Okay, or the jobless dad method. That's my favorite method. It's the only one I've been able to really work effectively. How many of you all remember John Spangler's epic thread on the Warrior Forum? Right? Jobless Dad thread. Okay, not familiar with that, James? Okay, pretty much where you where you put up a site. Okay, it's and then you call the business, say, hey, I wanna interview you for the new site that I'm doing for my city, and it actually gets you past the gatekeeper pretty fast with the business owner. And I've never been turned down for an interview. Okay, now it could be my my good looks and my boyish charm, but probably not though. What you got to, but yeah, so the interview or the directory method, some of you all are using that, okay, John Spangler's method. And I know that, how many of you all are Dan Kennedy devotees, right? Some of you all who are into Dan Kennedy, right? Dan Kennedy still uses the fax, right? How many of you all, anybody using the fax method of prospecting? Okay, so I know some folks are still using that. Okay, so we got a various stream of methods that we can use in order to prospect. Now the question is, you know, how to find the businesses. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that you can find a number of the businesses for any of these methods by using the Yellow Pages online. But now again, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, right? And so you might wonder, now how do I use the Yellow Pages, or what's the advantage to that? And of course, you know, there are advantages, and one of the things that's an advantage, how many of you all here are from Australia? I know not everybody here is from the States. Now, one of the advantages is that you can do this in Australia. I know my friends who are in the UK, they're not on the call because it's 2 in the morning there. Okay, they always get on me about these 9 o'clock calls. Right, so if you're from the UK, you're probably not on the call. You're probably listening to this by archive, but you can access the Yellow Pages in most countries. Okay, and so that's one of the advantages. Even sometimes that the Yellow Pages covers some ground that Google Places doesn't cover. Okay, so you've got to kind of be able to cover both places. Now, as I said, it covers lots of ground, and one of the good things is that if somebody's without a website, and they still are out there, they're pretty likely to be in the Yellow Pages, and they're easy to find. Okay, is everybody with me on that? Does that make sense? So if you want to get your foot in the door, and you want to build a website for somebody, it's pretty easy to find them on the Yellow Pages online. Pretty easy to do that. Okay, now I'll show you this in a minute. Some of the disadvantages. Okay, so one of the things is, and I'll show you this in a minute, that the website or the folks are time consuming to find. Now let's take a look at that. I'm going to show you that here in a minute. Okay, you should be able to see my browser here. Okay, first I'm going to go to the Yellow Pages in Australia. Right? Somebody name a city in Australia. Your favorite city in Australia. Okay, anybody have a favorite city in Australia? Okay, Kevin, Sydney. Okay, good. Melbourne, Sydney. Okay, good. Let's go with Sydney. And okay, actually it's already in here. Greater Sydney, northwest side. So one of the things that that folks in Sydney or in Australia, right here in the States, we call them what do we call them? We call them decks, and they call them pergolas, right? The covering or the porches or screen porches, right? And they call them pergolas in Sydney. So if I were to look for pergola builders in Sydney, right, I would click the Yellow Pages. Now I can do this in any country for the Yellow Pages, provided I know what the niche is. So if I want to look for, let's say my expertise is working with this kind of business. How many of you all here on the call have a specific niche or business that you like to work with, like roofers or painters or contractors? Anybody here have a niche that they work with? Okay, what's your niche? Just type it right there in the box. Okay, you have a niche of business, a specific niche that you work with. You like a business, okay, HVAC contractors. Okay, good, very specific niche. Okay, you can develop some expertise there when you're doing that. Excellent. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else have a niche that they work with? Okay, good. Roofers. Okay, some of you all work with roofers. Locksmiths. Okay, excellent. Okay, so some of you all work with specific niches. Okay, artists. Okay, very good. Excellent. So if we were to look for, now there still are people, right, listed in the yellow pages, whether or not they're buying ad space or not. Now, if you were to go to the yellow pages and look for pergola dealers in Sydney, now we'll do this in the U.S. I know a bunch of y'all on the call, you're from the U.S. We'll do this in the U.K., same thing. And we'd find 708 pergola dealers. Now, this was my niche in Sydney, Australia. Okay, there's 708 people that I could potentially call, and the yellow pages gives me some good information. I'll just scroll down here for just a minute, and I'll just get in here. And let's take a look at this number 5. I haven't looked at this before. Patio land. So here's what we got with patio land. Okay, we got the email address. We got the website we can take a look at. Okay, we got a map there we can look at, and we got their hours. So we've got some pretty good information that we can go on, and we got the telephone number. Right? So what we would do with this is we take this information, and then we'd open up Excel, and then we put it in our Excel spreadsheet and go to the next one, right? If we were going to do that, if we were focusing on pergola dealers, right, we'd put that information in our spreadsheet so that we can note them, and then we'd be able to either put them in our auto dialer, right? We'd be able to put them in our video prospecting software if we're doing with email. Okay, so we can do all those things once we get it into our Excel spreadsheet. Is everybody with me? Okay, does that make sense? If that makes sense to you, I want you to put a Y in the question box, if you would. Okay, cool. Excellent. Very good. Now, let's say that we want to try to find some of these sites that don't have websites. Okay, so what I like to do through Yellow Pages works very well for my method, which is, you know why? Because a lot of these folks necessarily have lots of sophistication. They're very right for wanting to be interviewed, number one. Number two, they tend to be open to the help that I'm willing to provide. Okay, because I'm with the interview method, what you do is you just kind of help them out once you get done talking to them. Okay, so a lot of these folks, they've got websites. I like to skip down to close to the end. Right? I like to get down to maybe like 12 or 13 or something like that, and let's see what I can find here. And see if I can find one of these guys that don't have websites. So here's one. Charlin Building Repairs and Maintenance. Okay? Doesn't look like they have a website. Now, I could take a look and see on the web they do. Okay, the sound's not doing well. Okay, it could be the website. Okay, it's okay now. How am I downloading the Excel? Okay, actually, I'm just typing it in. Rick, no, there's no secret to this. I'm just typing in. Okay. All right, now, okay, let's go to the yellow pages in the UK. And we can do the same thing. Okay, that's Yellow Pages World. I think this might be it. Let's see. Okay, this might be the yellow pages here in the UK. So let's look for maybe plumbers here in the UK. And let's look for them in London. Okay, yeah. Yep, this is for the UK. Okay, so I can find a plumber here, same thing, right? Same kind of information. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the note, and I'm going to try to find the ones without websites. I'm going to try to note down everything I can and put it in an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, now what's the obvious problem with doing that? Well, the obvious problem with doing that, of course, is that it just takes a long time, right? It's just a lot to do, and it's a lot of manual entry. Now, how many of you all have 2 homeschooled daughters in your house? Now, see, if you don't have any of those, it could take you a long time. Now, I have I have 2 of those, so so it doesn't take me that long in order to get, yeah, I could cut and paste, or I could have them do it and earn their keep around here. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, you wait until you have, double trouble. When you have teenagers, they eat like soldiers on a 2-day march, right? So, okay, anyway, now let's get back to this. So what you do is you would just kind of note down, and you'd be putting these things into your Excel spreadsheet. Now, why an Excel spreadsheet? Again, what Excel allows me to do is allows me to take a CSV file and put it into an auto dialer. How many of you all have Mark Helton's voice prospector? Anybody here have Mark Helton's voice prospector? Okay, so you've got some numbers you can use. How many of you all have video prospector? Okay, so you can take, okay, you think some of you bought it, you just haven't used it yet, okay? So you can take the information, and you can take your CSV file and put it in there, and then it'll just kind of run for you, right? But you've got a niche specific list of businesses and information, right? Okay, so that's what the Yellow Pages does. Now, you know, if some of you all are looking, I know that some of you here, a couple of you here are, at least some of you here are actually, you are in the UK. If you are in another country right now, but you prospect in the United States, put a Y in the question box. I know at least 2 of you are, because I've talked to you. Okay, so some of you are literally in the UK, in Australia, and what you're doing is prospecting in the United States. Is anybody here doing it the other way? Are you in the United States, right, and prospecting in Australia? And actually, as a matter of fact, here's a little hint to you, and I've talked to at least 2 Australians who told me that if you are in the United States, you should really be doing it the other way around, right? The business is much better prospecting, doing it the other way, being in the States, looking for clients in Australia, okay, and New Zealand, because more of them don't have websites and are open to prospecting. Yeah, yep, that's exactly what I mean. And I have not done it myself, but I've talked to at least 2 people who have said that openly about looking for clients. Okay, so the advantages are that it's time consuming to find the businesses, right, obviously, and then, of course, it's also time-consuming to collect the information, right, and we can see that, you know, based on what I've just done, right, so so one of the things that you're trying to do is you're trying to do this fast unless you've got help that you want to pay. Of course, you could outsource it, right, you could outsource it, but again, unless you've got somebody really reliable, you're going to have somebody doing a lot of work. Now, what are you going to do with this information? Okay, part of what you can do is you can prospect for niche-specific leads. So if you're looking for HVAC contractors, or you're looking for artists, one of you all are doing, or if you're looking for painters, or you're looking for plumbers, or you're looking for roofers, you can do niche-specific prospecting when you use a directory like this. You can do the same thing with Google Places. It's not as easy to do, right? If you want to look for a specific area, it's a little harder to do with Google Places. Now, you can do that for your business. Now, how many of you here are in the business of generating leads for your clients? Okay, anybody here that generates leads for your clients? Yeah, because part of what you can do when you do these searches is you can help your clients by generating specific leads for their business. Right, so you do a search for them, and then you put it inside of, you know, the prospector or whatever they're going to use, their video prospector. I know some of you all are using it on behalf of your clients, and then you are then able to do some marketing on their behalf. Okay, anybody here doing that kind of prospecting for your clients? Okay, one of you. Okay, excellent. Excellent, very good method to do. The other thing you can do is you can prospect for niche-specific strategic partners. Okay, anybody here on this call, is anybody doing partnerships with other local businesses? Okay, anybody here developing strategic alliances with other businesses? In other words, you're mailing to their list, they get to mail to your list, right? How many, I know some folks, they work with accountants, right? Some people work with lawyers, okay? Or you work with the chamber, right? So in other words, you can prospect for other niche-specific businesses or other strategic partners in order to contact about forming an alliance to build your list. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is a way to automate all of that, and I'm going to show you this and do a little demonstration for you here. And what I'm going to show you is something called Business Leads Miner. Okay, and so Business Leads Miner is a piece of software that actually I'm going to be doing some demonstrations on, and it's been developed by Jonathan Teng from the Warrior Forum, and Jonathan's actually going to start marketing this worldwide. So I asked him for permission to show it to the people who are part of my subscriber list. Okay, so he's not showing this because he's about to put it back out on the market and he's about to do something different with it. So I asked him if I could show it to you before he does that. Okay, so let me show you this. And let's say that someone name a country. Let's say, how about we start looking in New Zealand, right? So let's say that we want to look for clients in New Zealand. Okay, so what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to look for, let's say, painter. And I don't really know any cities. Anybody know any cities in New Zealand? I don't. Okay, Christchurch. All right, good. I heard of that. Okay, so we'll look for painters in Christchurch. Okay, Canada and Toronto. Excellent. I'll do Canada next, Jill. Yeah, we can do Canada. Okay, so I've got 227 painters in Christchurch. Right, now that's pretty cool, but I still got the same problem that I have to go through each one in order to get the information I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top of Business Leads Miner, and I'm going to click Get Data. Right, I'm going to step back from this thing and let it go for a minute. And what you'll see here is it's starting to populate. Can everybody see that? Can you see it start to populate? Okay, yeah, so now it's starting to populate with the information that it's getting. Right, so it's slowly putting it in there. Okay, so I'm going to just, for the sake of time, I'm going to stop this. So I'm going to click the stop button up here. Now, just so you'll know, and I know some of you all, I would be, because I get banned from Google every so often, I could go on the settings down here, and I've chosen not to use a proxy. Okay, that's a good question. Right with you, Jim. I do not use a proxy, but I don't gun this thing all the time. Now, I'm good 3 or 4 times a day. Right? I'm good 3 or 4 times a day, but I don't run it all day. Does that make sense, Jim? Right? So, yeah, you've got the choice that if you want to run a proxy, you can put your proxy in here. In terms of the data, right, what you can do is you can export your results automatically, right? In other words, now what I like to do is I like to export my results manually because I have a Walmart special for my PC. So so I will export my results manually, and if you've got a pretty powerful a processor and lots of memory. Now I've got decent prospector. I just don't like to tie up my computer, and so I like to export my results manually. Okay, how long can I do it at a time? I'm going to say 30 minutes to an hour, Jim. It varies, and I have been banned before, but no, I don't get banned. What you've got to do, I think, is you've got to just kind of bump up against their whatever their limits are, and then just do less than that, and then just don't do it all the time. Okay, now the other part to this that I do like is you probably can't see this because it's written real small, right? So I'm gonna tell you what this is gonna say. This says extract emails from websites, right? So in other words, you're going to extract the emails from the actual website as opposed to just the their listing. Okay, so isn't that cool, right? So in other words, we'll get the email from the yellow pages, but if not, we'll get it from the website. Right, so we can do that with Business Leads Miner. Okay, so that's all in the settings. Right, what am I doing that Google would ban me? Well, anytime they see lots of automated requests or what looks like automated requests, they will ban you. Now, here's what I'll say about Business Leads Miner is this: that most, if not all of the time, the software is both coded and supported. This software has been running for about 2 years and been updated. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a minute. Okay, so I've got all this information here that I can export to Google, but I want to show you a few things here that are kind of cool. Okay, so one of the things here that I can do is I'm going to highlight this one that doesn't have a website, right? So I see it doesn't necessarily have a website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Google Maps URL, right? So let's click the Maps URL. Okay, that one doesn't have a Maps URL. Okay, well, okay, let's open up the Maps URL here. So it's a one-click function to open up the Maps URL to see it and the other vendors in that area. The other thing that you can do is to open up the details URL so that we can see the details about the business. Now again, I don't see a website here, but we can start our investigation with those sites that do not have websites. And in general, painters don't always have them. What we can also do is we can take all this information and we can export it. We can just select all of it and export our results to Excel. Okay, now I'm not going to go through the process because it's going to tie up my resources. But that is something that you can do. Okay, Jill asked me to do this in Canada. So let's go to Canada and look for leads. Now, notice what happens when I do that. How many of y'all, now, all of my information for Christchurch is still here. right? So I've still got all the information for Christ Church. So in other words, until I clear out this information, I can actually add to what I have here in order to export it, right? And by doing that, what I'm doing is I'm putting together a lead list. So in other words, I can put together a list of painters from all over the world if that's what I want to do. Or I could just go to Christ Church and I could get all the different kind of contractors that I'd like to contact. So if I'm going to use a voice dialer or if I'm going to use an email prospecting list, I'm going to do this by using Business Leads Miner first in order to get the information. Okay, so Jill, tell me what should we look for here in Canada? You said Toronto, and okay, let's look for plumbers in Toronto. Okay, plumbers. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select all these. I'm going to them out. So I'm going to select them all and delete them. Okay, so in terms of plumbers, there are 19 pages of plumbers. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the data. Okay, and then Business Leads Miner is going to start to populate the information here. And one of the things is you'll notice that it's getting this email address from the website. So it takes a few minutes to actually get the information, but depending on what prospecting method you are going to use, you have a list to use in minutes for your actual prospecting. Now, a minute here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this, right? But I could probably get all 200 listings. Now, let's say that Jill now wants to, now she's got the plumbers. Now, let's say that Jill likes to call on contractors. So what Jill wants to put together is a list of everyone she can contact, right? So she's going to go now and then she's going to find painters now in Toronto, right? Same thing. So we're gonna find a list painter, and now we've got 28 pages of painters. So what we're going to now do is we're now going to get new data, and we're going to add to our list. So now what's happening is Business Leads Miner is now giving us this list with painters to add to this. So our list is literally getting bigger. So now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to stop this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get remodelers. So we've got, maybe is that what you guys call them up there? Let's see, what do you guys call them up there? Home builders, home improvements. We're going to go find businesses that are in the home improvements. So we've still got our list here, and we're going to now add to this list and get data to add on to the list of painters and plumbers. So now we're getting home improvement contractors to grow our list here of folks we're going to contact. Okay, so you see our list is getting bigger. Okay, so I'm going to stop this here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just select all the information, click Export Results, and I'm going to get all the data into an Excel spreadsheet. Does everybody see that? Now, I'm not going to go through that process, but it's pretty easy. You're just going to select a file, and if you've got something that'll put this in a CSV file, you can do that. So we can do that now, and we can do that in Canada, and we can do that in the United States, Canada, and 13 other countries. So if you want to prospect in Australia, New Zealand, Italy, the UK, Spain, okay, Dubai, Germany, okay, Argentina, Portugal, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, or Switzerland, you're covered. Right, so you can do any of what I just showed you in any of those countries. Okay, Jim's question. Okay, what if you run the software 3 separate times a day, but you want to target the same niche? Okay, can you run it again and add new ones without adding duplicates from the last time you ran it? What I would say is that when I do a niche in a city, Jim, I tend to be able to get everything within one session. So what I would do is I would run a niche in a city, and then I would then put that in an Excel spreadsheet. And then if I was going to do a niche in a different city, the same niche in a different city, I would run that again. Right? If you're not bumping up against your time limit, I would just run that again. Right? You can probably get a city done of about 100, 200 results in about 20 minutes. Right? Maybe less than that sometimes. So you can cover it. You can get a niche and a city done relatively quickly. So you got to be really you got to really be burning this thing to run it for an hour. Yep. Okay, cool. Okay, so you can do that in any country. So if you're if you're here and you're still awake, anybody here from the UK? Anybody here from Australia? Okay, so it's probably daytime there. So, okay, good. All right, so I'm going to crank this thing back up here. Okay, so what's the deal with Business Leads Miner? Okay, so you've seen that it basically collects the information, and it collects it in any country. Okay, any of the countries where you're likely to do business, and it collects it fast. Okay, if you want to use a proxy, you can. It can probably go even faster. And it's a very fast exporting to Excel. Okay, now obviously I didn't do it because running GoToWebinar and running GoToWebinar in anything is a hassle. Okay, and I don't want this webinar to shut down. But it's very fast to export to Excel. Okay, now one of the real benefits of this is that, and I said I was going to talk to you about this, is this software is not brand new. It's actually been around, and Jonathan Teng has been supporting this software for over, I believe, 1.5 to 2 years. And so we're going to be remarketing this software because he really has maintained, he's one of the few people, right? He's one of the few people that actually maintains, okay, this software. Okay, so he is what I would say to be reputable. It's already on version 2.58. Okay, so now what countries does it cover? Okay, I just went over this. It covers the United States, the UK, okay, New Zealand, Canada, Australia, Switzerland, France, Dubai, Portugal, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, Germany, Argentina, and Belgium. Okay, so you've got country coverage regardless of where you are. It's user-friendly. So you're getting the category, business name, the address, phone number, fax number, website, email, and Google Maps URL. So all the cool information that you're going to need. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Just if you're here for this webinar, okay, and you like what you've seen, what I'm going to do is if you pick up Business Leads Miner through my link, okay, what I'm first going to do is I'm going to interview you and or your best client on my Blog Talk Radio show, where you'll be getting a PR7 link back to their site. Okay, I'm actually going to give you the audio of the method that I'm talking about. I'm going to give you the John Spangler audio that'll show you how to use Business Leads Miner effectively, about the simplest way to prospect. Okay, using the interview method. I'm also going to be doing an interview with his top student, Mark Sumter, who really took the interview method and simplified it so that it works for anybody, shy, ugly like me, or I mean, if it works for me, it'll work for you. So you'll get to hear Mark Sumter talk about I love this method because it's the absolute easiest way to prospect. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be good looking. You don't have to be you don't have to be a salesperson. Anybody can make this method work. Anybody can get in and talk to a business owner and do this easily. I'm going to give you the interview with that. I'm also going to give you access to my sales training library. Now, some folks are going to already have access to some stuff that I'm doing right now, but I've actually lined up calls going into probably into November now. Okay, so for those of you who get this, you're actually going to get those calls that I do into November. And I'm actually going to be giving you a couple of calls that, again, will help you to prospect. So everything you're going to need in order to use this software to your benefit, okay, in your business, that's what you're going to get. So you can pick up Business Leads Miner through my link. And again, Jonathan has allowed me to show this to you before we redo this and we remarket it. So I'm going to be doing the webinars with Jonathan to remarket this. He's allowed me to show this to those who are subscribed to my list before we change the whole thing. So that's what I asked him to do, and he agreed to that before we change all this and get it out there. So if you want to pick this up, you can pick up this and get my bonuses at GainMindsahre.net/leads. And then once you do that, just send your receipt to my support desk, and we'll give you access to all the audio. Okay, so what questions do you have about the software? Let's take another look at it again, and I'll answer any questions that you might have. Okay, so someone's asking if we can do, I don't know. I don't know French, so I don't know what to type in. I wouldn't know what to type in, so we'll just do the tape. Okay, yeah, Rick, the software is $97, and what is going to happen is Jonathan's actually going to be releasing both a Google Places, he's going to be doing something for Google Places and classify ads, right? And I believe that the folks who are in this offer will be able to get that software at some point. I think he's probably going to reduce the price for folks who get it, but I'm not sure about that. Okay, but the price is $97. Okay, so I'm going to clear out all Jill's information. Okay, right. You know what, Jill? I would suggest, and again, this is just me. I'm probably the biggest fan. It's the most non-intrusive. The most non-intrusive thing to me is to set up a site, right? Is to set up a site and to do an interview and to get to talk to the business owner about their marketing. That to me is the best way to use this list. And what you're doing is you're looking for businesses that don't have a web presence and don't have a website. And so you'll be sorting your list to find those businesses, and those are going to be the folks that you're going to call for an interview. So in other words, you're doing a little reconnaissance beforehand, and you're going to call them and basically say, well, hey, I'm Jill, right? I'm Jill Spina, and what I'd like to do is I've got a site here for my city, and I'd like to interview you for my site. Would you like to be interviewed in order to give you a little more publicity? That's pretty much what I do. And no one has ever turned me down. Now, here's what happens. When you get into actually what they're doing to market their business, they will tell you everything. They will literally tell you everything. They will tell you their life story. They'll start telling you what works, what doesn't work, and what you're doing is you're really then using that information in order to start to get the sense for how you can help them. That's exactly right. Okay, so here I'm in Harrisburg. So here's what I do. What I've done, I would just I'd start looking for furniture stores. Let's say here in Harrisburg, furniture stores. Now we're not a big town, but I've got 228 listings. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is hit the Get Data button. Okay, and it's just going to keep populating here. Okay, so part of the time it's literally going to the website. Do you need to have a directory site? No, all you need is a blog, James. Yeah, he's working on, I believe he's working on super pages right now. But right now it works with yellow pages. Yeah, the blog is good enough. Okay, so I'm just going to stop the information there. Okay, any other questions? Are the updates included? All updates are included. So everything that he does, he's updated the software, I think, about 25 times. So all future updates are included. He is not charging for future upgrades. So you get all future upgrades. And he's pretty amazing about updating the software. Yeah, the classified in Google Places will be separate, James. Okay, if he does super pages, I think he's going to add it to this. He's not at that point yet, but I think he's talking about that. But yeah, it would be part of this product if he did. Yeah, Jill, I actually do a blog talk radio show, but John Spangler just had a website. Right, if you look at LancasterPAGuide.com, I don't think that now, I would not suggest that you do what John Spangler did. He never did really actually add them to a site. Once he got to talk to him, he got in, talked to him about their marketing, and then just got in and became their consultant. But I would actually suggest that you do at least have a website. Yeah, the classified and Google Places scrapers will be separate, James. That's correct. Okay, very good. Any other questions? Okay, again, so very good. So again, the site is GainMindsahre.net, and I'll put that in your question box here, /leads, and in the chat box, GainMindsahre.net /leads. Yep, okay, very good. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if you do have other questions, okay, before we start doing the other webinars, you can send them to me directly. Everybody on this call, we know each other. You can send me an email. Okay, everybody here already knows how to get a hold of me. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, as soon as Jonathan comes back, what we're going to do is we're going to start marketing this. I'm probably going to do a webinar, and we'll probably start on Monday or Tuesday. I'm still on Skype. I'm rarely on Skype, but I'm there. Rick, yeah, I'm there from. I'm still there, but just not there all the time. Oh, thanks, Jill. I appreciate that. Although now people say that I didn't know I had an accent, but it depends on where you're from. Okay, everybody. So again, I'm going to send this link out to you if you have any questions about Business Leads Miner. Again, Jonathan supports the software, and that's really why I stand behind it. Most of the software that you get on the Warrior Forum, I think we've all had that experience. How many of you all have had it? I have, where you get it and then it just is not supported anymore. Right. So that's not the case with this guy. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for being here. I certainly appreciate you, and I hope to be now. One more thing, and I put a question to you. What does the Huffington Post, the Drudge Report, and Internet Marketing, what do they all have in common? And you'll have to look for my email for the answer. So I'll be sending you out an email with the answer to that. What do the Huffington Post, Internet Marketing, and the Drudge Report have in common? And I'll be sending you the answer sometime next week. So just be on the lookout for it. Okay, that's close, Jill, but that's not the answer that I'll be giving you. They're all online. They're all online. That's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for being here. Certainly appreciate you. Okay, until then, till we meet again, Hustle hard. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.